Okay, so here we are. We're going to do a rebuild. Yesterday we did a video and we're bubbling away. Today I walked over to the pond to shoo the geese away and nothing. So follow along. I think I'll take pictures as I go along, and we'll be in and out with the video as things progress. But I see the first part that we're going to need to do. Roll it over. I already scraped all the dang spiders off. But we have 4 screws in the back. We're going to pop those off and pull the cover off. We'll go from there. We'll be right back. Okay, the 4 screws took off the cover. And now we're down to the compressor itself. And on each end we see the black tube. And this other black thing, this is probably where the diaphragms are, one on each side. So we're going to get to work, and it looks like we're going to be pulling these tubes off so we can get the screws and pull that unit off. And we'll show you what that looks like as soon as we get her off. Be right back. Well, there's our culprit. We got that cover off. This little doohickey. And now we're down, we can see the diaphragm. This is the diaphragm around here. This is what the piston pushes back and forth on that diaphragm. Here's a new one we're going to put in, because as you can see, we have a crack here, and there's one up here. And we're going to have to do both sides. So off we get to work. We'll take that little screw out and get this changed out so I can get the air pumping again. We'll be back as we proceed. Here's our old one. See it ripped. And there was a little seal here. It went inside it like that. So we'll put all that back together. Now there are a couple little things to look at. There's this little nub right here. See that? And that'll line up top and bottom. There's a little notch for that to go into. And this goes on only one way. This side just kind of has a ridge sticking up around the outside. This side's a little deeper. The deeper side goes in towards the compressor, towards the other diaphragm. Shallow side sticks out. And there was a little washer that went on. Well, first you put the rubber on the diaphragm, then the washer, and then the second washer, and then the nut. So I'm going to do that now, and we'll be right back. Let's see if we can get you to watch. I'll just set the camera down. How's that? Can you see now? Can you see me now? Come on, you can do it. We can help. Okay. Well, that's maybe a little too high. That's better. How's that? Okay. So now maybe you'll be able to see. Okay, so that's a shallow side. The deeper side, we got to line up that little half round at the bottom, half round at the top, and we'll push it in place. Because it kind of goes back into a seal, you know, it has some depth to it here. You can see it goes in. That's where that deeper part goes in. Lines up in that seal. So, got that lined up. The motor is hot because I just unplugged it, carried it over to the barn here, and getting it off that metal stuff. Won't be so hot. There we go. Popping into place. Okay, that part's good to go. You know, I'm going to have to pull the other side off because I'm going to want to push, because this is what goes back and forth, in and out, makes the diaphragm work, push the air. So every time I push in on this, I got to try and line up. There's a little step. All this stuff has to line up. So I'm going to have to pull the other side off, shut you guys down for a minute, and or I'll just leave you running. We'll get it tore apart. Good thing I didn't use a screwdriver to prop you up. Pop this other hose off. So unscrew the screws all the way. Works a lot better. There we go. That one's off. That one's all tore up too. We'll show you. Don't worry. There, see, that pushes in this way. I gotta get everything lined up. There's a little step on, whoa. There's a little step on that white part. Push that forward. Oops. Let go. Okay, now I see the washer. We had the dirty mark on the outside. I think that was glue, so the nut didn't come apart, slide off. The other side's concaved a little, convexed, radiused. There you go. And then that radius part is what goes up against the diaphragm. Everything's in there. There's also four little pegs that stick into that too. So we'll push it out a little, make sure the pegs are on. Put our little seal on there. Get our little nut back on there. You have the wrench holding the camera up, so I can't use that. But we're tight enough that that'll be fine. And since you're having a good time just sitting there, I still need the wrench. So I have to turn the camera off again. You can see this was all tore up too. So that's a bummer deal. But it happens. Wear and tear. And we're back. I'm going to take this other nut off. I guess we're going to get this all put on video so I don't have to do the pictures and stop and take another picture. That comes off. Pull the washer off. See how that come off? We have that radius side up against the diaphragm, then the white part. And then you can see these little white dots. And the white dot, or white thing in the middle, this little boss. That's what lines up on these holes in the seal. So let's get Oh, I didn't put it together. Let's say I forgot to put the white ring back in there, but I didn't put it together yet. So this is kind of a tricky part, getting the rubber to come out of that slot. Be careful with this white seal, you don't want to hurt the outside of it. Get that out of the way. That'll let the rubber seal squeeze a little. Broke already, so watch how far you stick the screwdriver in. And we can pry it right out. Nice. Boy, that one really got broke. I don't know what's going on with that. And we put it back in. It's visible, you can see the shallow and the deeper side. There's also, yeah, the deeper side also has this little raised up boss around the holes. That might help. And it also shows that there's two little nubs sticking out this way, and there's two little nubs there. So that all lines up good. Now we know what side to go on. And then it's just pop her back together. Don't like it. That's better. There we go. I didn't like it because it wasn't lining up perfectly, or it wasn't going to go in, so make sure it's in the bottom right. Just kind of pushing in a little bit to get that rib to bend up, get to that outside diameter, get it to pop in. This one little section to do. Come on. You can do it. I can help. There it goes. Now we're in business. Now this is run off of a magnet. This piston just bouncing back and forth in here with a, between a magnetic field. So right now we're off center, and the problem with that is the piston's sucked over to the magnet. So let's get it broke free from the magnet, which will happen in time. Don't push it too hard. Okay, we got it in line. We're going to push on the other end, back here, push forward, so we can get the studs, little white studs popped out. Go back to our thin Teflon washer. Oh, we'll just put it all on together. Radius side in. Put our nut back on. Snug them back up. I mean, there's just little screws, so don't go torquing on it, breaking them. They also have a little screwdriver slot in case the whole thing spins on you. Get this side snugged up. Yeah, it's a strange thing. I went over to the pond, you know, this thing's running, making noise, humming away, as it does. And, oh, I'm going to get my screwdriver because it is turning inside. So, you're not going to see no boil going. It's like, man, thing's running. So I went over, I pulled the hose off, the feeder hose, and it'll still put out air, but it's not putting out that much, and there's actually no, you're not getting any pressure out of it because you're just passing air back and forth between the diaphragms. It's just not going anywhere. Can't get any pressure. So that was my assumption that we had a problem. And we just screw all this stuff back together. Whoop, see, I almost did it again. Put the little ring back in. Not sure what this is. This looks like a fiber, so maybe when they mold the diaphragm, there's a strengthening fiber around that rib. Wrong screwdriver. Careful. Make sure you squeeze it together, you know, this way, so there's no gap. There's going to be a little gap because you're squeezing on that rubber. But I'm trying to say, just don't put this on and screw the screws. Don't go crazy with it. I'm going to try and get everything sealed and closed up. This is a 5.2 cubic feet a minute pump. And I've already played with stuff like this, or this exact pump, on the big pond with 4 different diffusers. The deepest depth is 9, and I was not satisfied with the performance. With the boils coming out of the pond, you know, up from the diffusers. Let's see if you can still see. Okay. I'll turn this one sideways a little bit. Because, you know, the pump's quiet, yes. It's, you know, doesn't use as much electricity as like a 3rd horse would, because this is just minuscule. And, I mean, I don't know if it's even $10 a month, but it's really cheap to operate. So that's why I wanted to try it. You know, maybe if I had a bigger cubic feet a minute, which we might still try out, that might have helped. But still, we're only working with the, you know, a diaphragm compressor. The more stress, you know, I'm up to 9 feet of depth in the deepest spot, so I got that much pressure. I'm trying to work this diaphragm. It's going really fast. You hear that humming noise? That's that piston going back and forth real fast. So that's why, you know, these shallow ponds should go with these diaphragm compressors. Usually they're smaller, closer to the house, and you don't want to hear the noise. Anything over, I'm going to have to say 8 feet, we don't want to use a diaphragm compressor. Or this is what happens in a short amount of time. You're overworking it, beating it up. So that puts us into a piston type, rocking piston compressor. And I'm looking at another brand of compressors that is it's kind of like a piston, but it uses a diaphragm in I think a different manner, but it can reach 12 feet you know, the one size can reach up to 12, the other can go 20 feet, so there's hope for more. They still make a little more noise, but maybe a little less than the rocking piston type compressors. So we got these four snugged up. I don't have any parts laying around, and I think we're about ready to go back to work. Put her back in service. It's kind of cute with these little clippy hose clamps. Quick and easy. Not goofing around with a screwdriver. I will show you one more thing. Get this other hose clamp on. Get this out of the way. There. Loving it. Typically on the tops of these compressors is a filter, air filter. We're sucking the air in and pushing it, going through the pump, the diaphragms, and pushing it outside, down the tube, out to the diffusers. And that's just a little filter. Pull it off every once in a while, make sure it's clean. I mean, this is still looking real good. So I'm just going to put it back together. And there's a rubber seal in here, so we're not letting bugs and stuff in. And we'll get this cover back on. Well, maybe I should fire it up first. Make sure she pumps. Make sure I did everything right. Yeah, where's my extension cord? And here we go. Hold on. Before at the pond, I pulled that hose off, and pulled the hose off. I was looking to see if the cover goes on one certain way or not. Does not look like it. But I got it in the same position. There's a rubber seal on that as well. That's why it's good to use outside. Okay to use outside without hurting anything. Anyways, back to my story. So I was over at the pond trying to figure out what was going on with this thing, and I pulled the hose off, and I put my finger over where the air comes out, like we just did. You can hear it hissing around my finger. Over at the pond, it didn't do that, because we were not getting any pressure at all through the diaphragms. When you're screwing these back in, just go in and make sure you get all four started before you tighten them up. Usually that seal around there, and there's a little lip that the base fits down into that lid. That fits. But I just get them, four of them started before you tighten them up. If you tighten one up and it's off a little bit, then you'll never get the other screw started. Snug them up good. When I took them apart, it was very hard to do. So, snug them up plus a little. We don't want to put a torque wrench or anything on and break it. So, there we have it.